Imagine this. It's 2020, you're whipping up some Dalgona coffee, watching Tiger King, and making baked oats. No, I'm kidding. Please never bring me back to that time. But I did want to bring back the nostalgia and deliciousness of baked oats in 2025. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Amanda, aka FitFoodAE, and today we're going to be making 10 high protein, low calorie baked oats recipes. All of these recipes are in and around 400 calories and have over 30 grams of protein. They're all super easy to make too. So let's get started, shall we? For the first recipe, we're going to be starting off super strong with Terry's chocolate orange baked oats. I know, they taste exactly as good as they sound. And guys, throughout this whole video, I'm going to be giving you kind of like tips and best practices in order to make your baked oats taste the best they possibly can. So yeah, in order to give it that orange flavor of the chocolate orange, we're using orange juice instead of the unsweetened almond milk. Unsweetened almond milk is what I normally use as one of the liquids in my baked oats recipes. So for all of these recipes, we are using this 6-inch mini cast iron skillet. There's a link to it on my Amazon store, and that is linked in my description. Also, you'll see I'm topping it with Terry's chocolate orange pieces. This is a must-have, absolutely. You'll see that I'm topping it off with sea salt. This is completely optional, but I love a good sweet and salty combo. Just look at how decadent and chocolatey that is. It is so, so good. Maybe one thing I would have done differently is like swirled around the chocolate orange into the rest of the baked oats just so you can constantly get a bite of chocolate orange, because that's truly the best part, isn't it? Next up, we've got carrot cake. Now, I know not everyone is a carrot cake lover, so if you're a carrot cake hater, feel free to skip over this recipe. So for this recipe and all the other ones, I'm using Pea Science protein powder. Of course, it's the protein powder that I use in all of my recipes that contain protein powder. If you don't have that on hand, feel free to use like a vanilla protein and just add a bit more cinnamon to it. You want to purchase from PE Science. It is a whey casein blend. I highly recommend it. Please use my discount code FIT15, but if not, buy whatever other protein. So in this particular recipe, a couple important things to note. I didn't grate the carrots like by hand. I actually put them in a blender and just kind of like pulse them for a short period of time because I was way too lazy to grate it by hand, and I didn't find any grated carrots in the grocery store. And I also put cream cheese filling in the middle. So I personally love cream cheese filling. It's really, really good. It makes carrot cake what it is. The way I made the cream cheese filling was mixing a little bit of softened cream cheese. I'll put the measurements on the screen, of course, but the softened cream cheese with lakanto 0-calorie powdered sugar. Of course, you could use like lakanto, Swerve, whatever brand that you have, but yeah, basically that's how I made the filling. You gotta make sure the cream cheese is softened, otherwise you're gonna have trouble mixing it up. Guys, whenever I tasted any of these recipes, the middle was always so hot, and I was like, I don't want to embarrass myself or burn the roof of my mouth. So I had to blow on every single bite before I took it. And there you have it, delicious carrot cake baked oats. Banana chocolate chip. I had a vision for this one and it delivered. This recipe is so gooey and moist and so good. Everyone went crazy for it on TikTok, and I think everyone on YouTube is also going to go crazy for it. By the way, guys, this looming in like a few days, obviously it doesn't, well, it does affect me. It's not going to affect me directly because I don't live in the US. I live in Canada, but most of my audience is in the US and most of the creators I follow are based in the US. So that's really sad, but let's not focus on that. Let's focus on these beautiful, wonderful baked oats. So what I did was I put half of the bananas and chocolate chips in the batter, and then I put the rest on top because I like it to be distributed. Make sure to spread out the batter as well. I like to use the back of like a slightly wet spoon. That makes it easily spreadable. Also, make sure to slice the bananas thinly. We don't want them to be weighing down the batter, otherwise it's not going to bake properly. And I like to use mini chocolate chips because, again, I like even distribution, and yeah, it honestly yields the best results. Look at her glistening in the sunlight. This is probably my favorite recipe in this entire video. So good. Comment below and let me know when you like to eat baked oats. I would assume most people eat them in the morning, like for breakfast, but I've definitely eaten baked oats like for dinner if I just felt like not having a real dinner. Guys, this is heavy. This tastes like chocolate chip banana bread. So good. Next up, we've got red velvet. So we're a little early for Valentine's Day, but I'm gonna be away traveling for almost all of Valentine's Day. So we're gonna start early. I personally love red velvet flavored things. So with any red velvet flavored recipes, you're gonna add a teaspoon of either lemon juice or white vinegar. Lemon juice is just what I had on hand. This really enhances the flavor in order to bring out the flavors of the red velvet, and then it also enhances the color of red. So I use red food coloring, and I had to keep adding it until it actually reached a color that resembled red. And I knew that like it would be pink, and then after I baked it, it would turn more red. So I just made it that particular color. Also added some white chocolate chips as well, because why not? So bake time, guys. Bake time is important. So similar to what you would do with a cake, you would check the baked oats maybe like 5 minutes before you think they're supposed to come out, and then stick a fork in the middle and see if it comes out like not quite clean, but almost clean. And that is how you want them to be. By the way, this recipe also uses cream cheese filling, and white chocolate chips, because why not? Valentine's Day, we gotta add all the decadent flavors. So yeah, going back to that bake time thing, like let's say the bake time for the baked oats is 20 minutes. I would check after 15 minutes, stick a fork in, and if it comes out like not quite clean, but almost there, then you're good to go, because you don't want them to be too dry, and you also don't want them to be underbaked. But like you guys know me, I prefer them to be slightly underbaked, if anything. What I've been doing for the video is pressing the spoon in the middle like that. It really brings out the gooiness of the baked oats. Instead of doing red velvet filling for this one, I actually did like a frosting and just put it all over the baked oats. And honestly, it didn't look super aesthetic, but it tastes really, really good. The cream cheese frosting is so good. Lemon Poppyseed is up next. This one is another one with the cream cheese filling. Guys, I promise not all of them have it. But yeah, this is another classic flavor. I was hoping that I had poppy seeds on hand because I didn't actually buy any new ones for this recipe, but turns out I had some from the last time I made a lemon poppy seed recipe. It's interesting, guys. I try to use up ingredients from when I make kind of like obscure recipes. Obviously, poppy seeds aren't something that I use like all the time, but sometimes it ends up that I buy an ingredient, end up using it once, and then it sits in my pantry for like 6 months until I use it again. Also, another thing that I do that I'm not sure if you guys knew is I don't actually buy oat flour. I just buy quick oats because those are more versatile, because when I want to make just like regular microwave oats, I can use those. And then you could just pulse the oats in a blender, and that makes oat flour. Oat flour literally just has one ingredient, and that is oats. If you're doing that, make sure that the oats are blended and like pulsed 100%, because if you blend them and they're like not fully blended, then the recipe just doesn't work as well, and you kind of get like little chunks of oats, and it's not that great. If you, for whatever reason, wanted to lower the calories more of this recipe or any of the other recipes that have the cream cheese filling, you could definitely omit it, but it certainly makes the recipe. And I got a stain in my shirt. Lovely, but they still tasted amazing, so we're all good. Okay, next up, these baked oats have a long name: chocolate sea salt Biscoff. So I absolutely love Biscoff, and I feel like it needs to make a comeback because I haven't been using it in as many recipes. But yeah, honestly, guys, a lot of these pretty much all these baked oats kind of follow the same or like similar formula. They're super easy to make. This recipe in particular, because one of my earlier baked oats recipes, I would make it like 3-4 days in a row sometimes. It's so, so good. Obviously, it takes a little bit more time to make than the traditional microwave baked oats. So if I'm like in between meetings, then I won't make it. But if I have a bit more time in the morning, then I will absolutely make it. Decided to use dark chocolate chunks in this recipe, but if you don't like dark chocolate, obviously use whatever you have. So for this particular recipe, you're gonna put most of the batter into the cast iron skillet, then you're gonna save a bit because we're gonna put the Biscoff on top of that batter, and then we're gonna seal it with the rest of the batter. Sealed, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, basically we wanna make sure the Biscoff is in there so that when we put the spoon into the baked oats, the Biscoff just comes like oozing out, and it's so good. If you don't have Biscoff though, you can use peanut butter in place of it, no problems there. And then what makes this recipe what it is the sea salt, the flaky sea salt. I love a good sweet and salty combo. The sea salt is absolutely needed for this particular recipe. Whenever I make or eat baked oats, this is super strange, but I need to use a teaspoon. Like, I can't use a big spoon. I think I just like to have like small bites to like savor it, because then if I use a big spoon, it's like gone faster. White chocolate raspberry baked oats are up next. This one uses white chocolate protein. Pea Science honestly has the best, like most diverse flavors, but obviously if you don't have that, feel free to just use vanilla protein. So in this particular recipe, I use pudding mix just to make it a bit more moist. I think it was like feeling fancy that day. Feel free to omit it if you don't have it, but honestly, I like experimenting sometimes with a few different variations of baked oats recipes just to see what works out better. For the raspberries, make sure to chop them up like this and not put them whole. It just bakes a lot better and then they're more distributed. By the way, guys, I don't think I clean my cast iron the way I should. I've heard you're supposed to clean it with like salt or something, but obviously I don't put it in a dishwasher, but I use like a hard sponge and then just like a little bit of soap and water. I know you're not supposed to use soap, but like I'm just so lazy. I honestly am. But anyway, for the frosting here, we're gonna use a combination of like white chocolate and melted, little bit of coconut oil. So good. You don't use the coconut oil, otherwise the white chocolate kind of burns and it doesn't work very well. So this recipe is so decadent and delicious and gooey. You guys are definitely gonna love this one. Okay, we've got just 3 more left, guys. This one is cinnamon roll baked oats. Getting so creative here. So for this one, the ingredients are more or less the same as the others, except you're gonna add cinnamon to the batter. But then this is where things get a little bit different. So we're gonna put the batter into the cast iron skillet as shown. And then you're actually gonna add the filling, which the ingredients are on the screen for, and you're gonna add those in like little dollops, and then you're gonna use a knife to kind of swirl it around. This gives it that like cinnamon roll-esque look. Could I have done it a little bit better? Maybe, but the taste is all there. So while that's baking, you're actually gonna make the frosting, which is similar to the ones I used before. It was like the cream cheese frosting. And again, you can break out the electric mixer like I did here just to make it a bit more smooth, or you could just use some elbow grease. Up to you. Either way, you need to make sure the cream cheese is softened. If you don't have time to soften it, just put it in the microwave for like 10 to 15 seconds. And then yeah, as you can see, I tried to be careful with the frosting and I kind of screwed up the end, but this particular recipe is really gooey and soft. So good. Reminds me of like a pillowy cinnamon roll from Cinnabon. Next up, we've got a very simple one. These are chocolate chunk baked oats. By the way, guys, if you see me using the brown monk fruit in some recipes and then the regular white monk fruit, so like the 0-calorie sugar in other recipes, don't worry, they're interchangeable. Honestly, in some recipes, I like to use the brown monk fruit. Like if I do kind of like a cookie type one or snickerdoodle, but it honestly kind of depends on whatever I have on hand. So again, just don't worry about it. You can use it interchangeably. And as I suggested in the early recipes, all ovens are going to be different. So again, if the bake time says 20 minutes, I would check after 15. And then once you make like a few of these baked oats recipes, you'll kind of have a better idea and then you won't need to do as much like guesswork. But honestly, all ovens are different. I've been making baked oats in a few different places that I've lived, including like when I'm on vacation or whatever, and it's always different, which is a little bit annoying, but it's just good to be aware. Our last recipe is one of my earliest baked oats recipes. We've got some more baked oats. Now you might be thinking, wow, a lot of her recipes are just like variations of each other. She can make like 10 different baked oats recipes. Yeah, that's kind of how it is. Like if I was always making new things, like I would run out of recipe ideas. No, truly. But it's good to make different flavors of things, variations, because some people might hate marshmallows and they don't want to make s'mores baked oats, but they might love raspberries, for example. So for this particular one with the toppings, they're a little bit finicky. So what I did was I put the batter in and then I baked that for 5 minutes. And then I actually took it out and added the rest of the toppings. So for the toppings, we're gonna do the marshmallows, graham crackers, and then the chocolate chips. I did add some chocolate chips in there, but then adding some more on top. It's mostly the marshmallows that are a little bit finicky. So honestly, you can kind of add the other ones if you really wanted to, but marshmallows, if you bake them for too long, they're gonna get burnt. I personally don't mind marshmallows a little bit burnt. I'm one of those people, if there's like a campsite or campfire or whatever, I will burn my marshmallows to a crisp. And some people think that's weird, but I think it's awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this recipe, then I'm sure you're looking for more ways to use that 6-inch mini cast iron skillet that you bought. So I'll link a couple other videos here that you should watch next. And please give this video a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends, as it really helps the channel, and I post new videos every week. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.